Good day, good people. Yesterday, Coach Nick Saban led his Alabama football team from Malmore Athletic Facility to Foster Auditorium, where the infamous George Wallace stood to block the entrance of two African American students into the University of Alabama. Now, you might say that was so long ago, but after reading the comments and responses to Coach Saban's demonstration and protest, it feels like we've gone all the way back to those times. And I think that although I'm not an Alabama fan, I can only respect Coach Saban in this moment. And there is something that I think all of us can learn from Coach Saban's speech. Coach Saban said the thing that has helped him to grow in his role as a leader was learning to listen to his players and understanding that he can learn from them. And the reason that it feels sometimes like we're stuck in the 60s is because we have not grown to listen and to try to learn from other people's experiences. Now I know that you say that these players are protesting a criminal, that he simply should have complied, that if he hadn't broken the law, he wouldn't have these issues. And I do want to talk about that. But first, I want to say this, that some of the most discouraging comments that I read were threats from fans, people that I know, people who I admire, people who I thought were on my side, threatened to withdraw their support from the University of Alabama because of these protests and because of the issue of social justice. They think that politics should be purged from college football programs. Well, let me help you understand. Social justice is not about politics, it's about people. We're talking about real people facing real issues in real life. And so we can't reduce social justice to just another political platform because there are real people involved whose lives are at stake. Now, a lot of people have said that why are they protesting for a criminal? Why are they standing up for a person who broke the law? Well, people are not demonstrating and protesting for a criminal. We're really upset because Jacob Blake is just a reminder of times past. Now, whether he broke the law or not, that's to be decided in court, and that's the issue of social justice. If the man was a criminal, I don't believe that the crimes he was accused of called for execution by a firing squad. Jacob Blake deserved his day in court like everybody else, and the real problem is that we try to reduce everybody to criminals once they've been executed on the streets. Jacob Blake is still a human being, and I said executed on the streets. Jacob Blake is still alive, but there have been other African Americans who lost their lives on the pavement. And so Jacob Blake is a reminder that the racism that we saw in the 60s has not been retired. Matter of fact, it didn't even go into remission, but now it's being revealed all over again because we have access to so much technology and everybody's recording with their phones. So people are not protesting a criminal. People are protesting this reoccurring feeling that bad cops are not the exception, that they are the norm. Now I know that that's not true because there are many good cops. There are way more good cops than there are bad cops. And just because you protest injustice or just because you don't accept being treated unfairly on the streets, that does not mean you don't respect the police or you don't support good cops. Just because you stand up for what's right does not mean that you support the Black Lives Matter organization, or it does not mean that you support rioting or tearing down the town. Just because you support fair and just judicial systems and laws, just because you believe that everybody deserves due process, does not mean that you support the person's crimes. It's okay to stand up for what's right and still denounce what's wrong. And I think that we live in a society that feels like everything is so binary. You're either on this side or that side. And truth is, we've got to try to uncover what's right. And so when we protest, when we march, it's not about an isolated incident because these things have been going on for so long. It's hard for us as African Americans to view things objectively. We can't view everything objectively. We can't just look at the facts and try to make a decision impartially based solely on the facts we're given. Number one, we never have all the facts. But then number two, these things have been happening so long. Our past is so dark. It's hard for us to separate what happened in the past from what's happening right now. Can you blame us? And so we have to have more compassion and please have more patience when we get angry and when we're frustrated. And please understand that we're only seeking what's right. Now, Jacob Blake is not the face of the movement, but Jacob Blake is a reminder. You want me to tell you why Jacob Blake is a reminder? Jacob Blake is a reminder of an unfair judicial system because the next day or 2 days later, Kyle Rittenhouse killed two people and walked by the police unharmed, untouched with an AR-15 strapped to his chest. It raises a lot of questions in my mind as to how a man who had his back turned to you can be such a threat, and a boy who just killed two people has an AR-15 strapped to his chest, and you feel completely comfortable with him walking right by and going back home. Those types of things raise questions in our minds. Now, I've said this before, and I'll continue to say it. Jacob Blake made a very, very costly mistake. Jacob Blake, first of all, did not comply when the police were trying to detain him. Now, whether or not they had just cause for detaining him, I don't know. But we've learned, we know, we have enough evidence now to know that if we don't comply, it can be very costly. Mistake number two, Jacob Blake did have a weapon in his vehicle. Now, did the officers know that at the time? That's to be determined. We don't know. But the truth of the matter is, in that situation, Jacob Blake should not have retreated to his car. Did it warrant 7 shots in his back? I don't agree with that at all. But Jacob Blake did have a part to play in what happened. That's not to be lost on the fact that there is still some issues with how we view black men on the streets. The problem with Jacob Blake and the problem with George Floyd, the problem with all of these cases is that once something tragic happens to a black man or a person on the street, we want to immediately label them as criminals. We cannot continue to reduce people to criminals, and that's why the players are marching. They're marching because they fear that once they take their uniforms off and walk down the street to the store, they're no longer your favorite player. They could quickly become a criminal. And so we have to change how we view people on the streets if we really want change. And this is what the players are protesting. Let me tell you what was so discouraging about some of the comments I read yesterday. What was so discouraging in people stating that they would simply not watch college football or withdraw their support from college football, it's discouraging because it communicates a type of privilege that many people my color will not have. It's easy for you to say, I'm going to wake up today and boycott college football because I don't agree with what's going on. It's easy for you to say, I'm not buying any more season tickets. I'm not donating any more money because I don't agree that these issues are even real. First of all, these issues are real. You can't tell somebody that they're not facing or experiencing an issue until you walk in their shoes. Second of all, you have the privilege of saying that you will decline the conversation of social justice. You will decline to have these conversations and to listen to these players. You will decline to watch college football because you don't agree that we even have anything to talk about. You have the privilege of declining and not participating in these issues of social justice. But for African Americans who look like me, who look like many of the players that play on your favorite football team, we don't wake up with the privilege to decline the consequence of our skin color. We have to deal with these issues every single day. And I think that at the end of the day, we can all learn something from Coach Saban, and that's simply to listen and to learn.